Lin puts it up. Bang! Jeremy Lin from downtown.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Hustle Hoops. Hit that subscribe button. Now let's get right into it, bro. So, bro, the Suns just clinched appearance at the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the Suns, man. Big win for them. This is a good game. First, I just want to jump straight into it. I do this like weird thing sometimes with like the night games where the games are starting at like 9 or later. I'm not a night owl. That's number one. I'm not a night owl. So the thing I do is kind of like I'll watch the first and second quarter like perfectly fine, and then I'll have this weird thing where like the halftime shows always are trash to me. So I fall asleep during the halftime show, and I kind of stay asleep throughout like most the halftime show, like most of the third. I'll wake up and catch the end of the third and the whole fourth. So that's kind of what happened today. I missed like the third quarter, and then I like woke up back at like 3 minutes left in the third and watched the entire fourth. So everything I know in this game is from the first and second quarter, and then like the fourth quarter pretty much. The third quarter I didn't catch it. So I just want to start off by talking about in the beginning, just jumping straight into it. The Suns, they had a strong first quarter. DeAndre Ayton was playing very well. He had like 10 points, scored 4 straight baskets, something like that. He had that cut. Mikal Bridges gave him that cut. He had a jump hook on Paul George and a jump hook on somebody else. It looked like finally they're getting a strong. DeAndre Ayton was playing strong. Like he had everybody was on him for game. What was it? 5 when he was playing weak, but he took advantage of it and he had a strong first quarter. And he finished the game solid. I think he had 16 points, 17 boards. That's really big for him to get those 17 rebounds and forcing himself on the glass. And like I said, he showed that he could be dominant in that first quarter. And I think they switched out of that zone because of what was happening in the fourth quarter. They were just going off. So I was glad to see DeAndre Ayton asserting himself. And he had that like weird circus shot off that like post from Paul George. Like he spun around and like did some weird 360 flip up. I mean, so he was just making layups and everything, which you shouldn't give a center credit for making layups, but I mean, hey, it was good to see him do that. Also, something that was weird in this game, like Patrick Beverly was kind of like going off in the first like little bit of this game. I think when he had like 9 points, they were like, this is the most points that he scored in this entire playoffs, like 9 points. But it was allowed 9 points, but I don't think he really had much more after that. He also had this like weird play where like he crossed up Chris Paul. Like he actually put Chris Paul in the mixer, and that was actually insane. I don't know. He gave him like a hezzy tween in and out cross. It was weird. Patrick Beverly was going off. He was hitting threes. He was doing everything. He was like their leading scorer at one point. And the crazy thing is, he only had 2 more points after that. So I don't know. That was just weird. Also, another weird thing that happened is like no team was fouling either. Like no team was fouling that first quarter. No team fouled at all. The whole first quarter, and that like I kind of like that, but also kind of like for basketball's sake, it's not the most like what do you say, like pure basketball, but as a viewer, I feel like the flow of the game is much more fun without a bunch of stoppage, without a bunch of fouls, without a bunch of review, without a bunch of this, without a bunch of that. It wasn't that many timeouts being called. I just like just raw basketball, like just seeing it played. Now obviously, like I said, it's not the most like efficient as a team, like trying to win. You don't want to go a whole game without shooting free throws, but just as a viewing experience, the fact that there was no fouls that first quarter definitely sped up the first quarter in real time, and it was just kind of fun to watch, just seeing them just go bucket for bucket for bucket for bucket. I'm kind of zooming into the Clippers side. I do, even though the Clippers lost, I kind of am coming out of this series like I would say mildly happy for the Clippers. They showed their heart this playoffs. You know, they've had a hard fought 7 game series versus the Mavericks, winning games on the road. They were down 0-2 against them. Backs on the wall, came down, beat them in 7. Same thing with the Jazz. They beat the Jazz, hard fought series. Donovan Mitchell going crazy. Everybody talking about Donovan Mitchell historic run. Da 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 da. They shut that down. They showed their heart. Next man up mentality. Terrence Mann had 39 or something like that. Then they come into Phoenix. They're down 0-2. They made it a series. I was expecting to be Suns in 5. They made it a series. It was good to see their heart. Paul George showed that he's has a little bit of resiliency after terrible, like the 2 free throws he missed twice and all that type of stuff, like missing free throws and just choking. Paul George came out and dropped 40. Just showed the whole team showed resiliency. Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson the whole series, and Terrence Mann and Boogie stepping up, and everybody on they just showed heart. Ty Lue, everybody's giving him his flowers for being such a good coach, making adjustments. Oh, he's so smart. The Clippers, they have a good core group of guys, bro. Like if I'm a player on the Clippers, I'm not jumping ship because they have a good group of guys. They've shown themselves to be gritty, be scrappy, kind of like that underdog type of feel. I kind of like this team. I just think this year wasn't their year. Obviously, without Kawhi, they weren't going to do anything. But I do think it was just a time for the Suns to get it, bro. I really do. But then also, like, it's more specifically to this game, their defense was kind of sus, though. Like, the Suns shot 56% from the field and 54% from three. And it was just like the Suns were getting everything they wanted, bro. Like, everything they wanted, it didn't matter. Like, Chris Paul was hitting threes. Chris Paul had a bunch of, how many threes did Chris Paul finish with? I know he had 2 in that first quarter, and he had like a bunch in the fourth. Yeah, he had seven threes. Jay Carter had 5 threes. Like, they were just hitting their shots, and felt like no resistance at all. I don't know. That was just weird. And then the offense was okay for the Clippers. I just don't really like. The thing with the Clippers is, I don't know. We know Paul George is their best player, but he just don't be going like crazy sometimes. Like, only 21 points, 21 and 9. Like, he only had 15 shot attempts. Why is he not leading his team in shot attempts right now? I don't know why Marcus Morris has 17 shot attempts. Why Reggie Jackson is only 3 shot attempts less than Paul George. Reggie Jackson getting 12 shot attempts is okay. Paul George, you need to get 25 shot attempts. Okay, Kawhi is down. You're supposed to be in your back. You just came off 41 points. Why do you not have 30 points? Why don't you have 35? And in Game 6, clinching, backs against the wall, Suns could potentially, what is it? It's called a elimination game. That's what I was looking for. Paul George, you're in an elimination game. You're supposed to go out and go crazy. I don't know why. It just sometimes seems like Paul George and their whole offense. It seems like their whole offense just set up to just like whoever just give it. It don't seem like it's geared to just give Paul George the ball and tell him to go crazy. I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, I don't like Marcus Morris leading them in points. Other than that, I mean, it's just random. No more old Clippers stuff. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins having 12 points in 14 minutes is really efficient. The crazy thing is he had 12 points and literally one of everything else. He had 12 points, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, one of everything. So he did have those 2 threes. Like, he hit a step back 3 at the end of the clock. So that was pretty cool, I guess. But I don't know. The Clippers are just weird, bro. I don't even know what to say anymore about them. But definitely for the Suns, bro. I'm super happy for the Suns to get to the finals, bro. I'm happy for Chris Paul, Devin Booker, obviously my favorite player. It did suck to see him kind of like tweak his nose again after that, like on that Paul George offensive foul. I hope his nose is okay. He went back to the mask like late in the game because I guess that Paul George play. But I hope his nose is okay. I hope he's going to be just able to focus in for the finals because as much as I do want Chris Paul to get a finals MVP and win the finals, I feel like Chris Paul just getting a ring is good enough for Chris Paul. Like, it's good enough for him to get a ring. But I think for me, myself personally, I would really, 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 really love to see Devin Booker get the finals MVP. So if I can get Devin Booker back, but I don't even think the voters are going to go. This is a side tangent. I don't even think the voters, even if Devin Booker comes back without having to focus on the nose injury or anything like that, even if Devin Booker were to come out here and average 29, 30 points, 5 and 5 or something, and going crazy, maybe have a 40-point game in there or something, I feel like they would still just give it to Chris Paul because they were still like, I just feel like they're going to give it to Chris Paul because everybody loves Chris Paul, and it's obviously, well, like, his impact is deeper than the stats, you know? I mean, I don't know, it's weird. Either way, whoever gets it is going to be good. Like I said, I'm just happy for this team. Like, I like this team a lot. Like, they're probably my second favorite team in the league behind the Lakers because I like the players. I like Chris Paul. I like Devin Booker. I like Mikal Bridges. I like seeing what Cameron Payne has been doing. You know what I'm saying? I like Cam Johnson, even though he didn't play tonight. I like DeAndre. I like this team, bro. They have a good team. They have a fun team. They have a young team. I like it. And it's really good for them to capitalize on their first year because I don't know how long Chris Paul is going to last after this. I'm not trying to say it's the end for him, but he realistically he is like 36 in a year. I don't even know at this point. he's in the teens, so it's kind of like he. I don't know how long he has left, so it's good for them to kind of get it on the front end. They need to win this championship, or else they're not going to win another one. They might get back to another one, but as far as winning, this is their best opportunity to win. So it's good to see them get it out the way and not have to worry about it. Like I said, this Clippers, lol. The Suns, bro, like they themselves showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit. Going from being a bubble team, 8-0 in the bubble, everybody thinking it's a fluke. They came, like, I don't know, it was just weird. Like this whole progression, even there, I forgot who the guy was in the podium, but he was like, I think we accelerated faster than a lot of our fans expected us to. Yeah, they really did. So it's kudos to them. Kudos to Monty Williams for galvanizing his guys and making them go out there and want to hoop. They had 3 road victories to close out the series. They closed out the Lakers on the road. They closed out the Nuggets on the road, and they just closed out the Clippers on the road. So they proven to be able to win on the road. They proven to be able to win in difficult situations. Everybody's talking about some, they're so young, they're inexperienced, all this stuff, all that stuff, but I don't think that mattered because they were playing like a very mature team. So it didn't matter that they're a young team, they're inexperienced. None of them have ever been in this situation. Even Chris Paul, the great Chris Paul himself, isn't even that fully experienced. He's only been in one conference finals appearance. That's in 2018. So it's kind of like even him is some type of inexperience. His whole team is inexperienced, but together they just went crazy. It didn't matter about that. So I don't know. That was pretty interesting. Like I said, Jay Carter had 5 big threes. Aiden had 16 and 17. That was good to see. They had very good contribution from their role players. Cam Payne looked like he got his step back, his bounce back. Obviously, he wasn't dropping 30 like he did. What was that, game 1 or something like that? But Cam Payne looked like he had his spring, his bounce back. He had that first step burst. He had that joy that on the court that he was missing after he hurt his ankle. Mikal Bridges is going to give you good defense, hit some shots. Dario Saric hit some shots. I think he had 3 or 2 in there. And then Torrey Craig did step up big to take on Cam Johnson's role. He didn't score anything. I literally don't think he scored at all. No, Torrey Craig had 3 points. He had 1 3. But just the fact that that you have a guy who you can trust to go out there and in absence of one of your better players, go out there and replace him and give you 30 minutes, a solid 30 minutes. Go out there and give you 3 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. His presence, like, he doesn't give up anything on the defensive end. Even though he might be a slightly worse offensive player than Cam Johnson, he is a better defender than Cam Johnson. So I would kind of say that's a wash there because you can make up for Cam Johnson's offense. Cam Johnson's really just offense is just to go out there and hit threes. So you just saw it tonight with the absence of Cam Johnson. Chris Paul elevates himself to getting 41. So it's kind of like, okay, we're losing Cam Johnson, but Torrey Craig is going to help. So it's good to see how deep this team is. And like I said, I'm just glad to see their role players step up and do good things. Now, obviously, everybody, all the headlines, all the stories are going to talk about Chris Paul. Let's talk about Christopher Paul, bro. Christopher Paul, Mr. State Farm himself, the point guard himself, Chris Paul, bro. This is a magnificent performance. Before I jump into talking about Chris Paul, I do want to say this was not a legacy game for Chris Paul. And I'm going to go on a side tangent. This is like a thing that people do for NBA fans and NBA media do for NBA players. Is like they try to make everything a legacy game. Chris Paul has been in the league for how many years now? He got drafted in 2005, I think? He's been in the league for over 15 years. He's 36 years old, I think. Chris Paul, even if he were to retire today, I would have him my personal top 5 point guards of all time. So if he were to lose this game, if he were to lose this series, scoring 0 points both in game tonight and in the next game, it wouldn't matter because he already has cemented his place. Now all he can do at this point is elevate himself and go any higher. He's not gonna get any lower for me because it's like he's already cemented where he is. So this was not a legacy on the line for Chris Paul cap a game. Like they're gonna stop doing that. LeBron losing the first round was not a legacy defining moment. This was not legacy for Chris Paul. in any other player. Kevin Durant was no legacy was messed up for Kevin Durant losing to Giannis. No legacies were messed up or will be messed up from this playoffs because of these established stars. Stop making everything a legacy moment for players who have been established. He's been in the league for over a decade now. He's established, bro. There's no legacy. He's not losing anything. He can only gain at this point. That's number one. Get that out of the way. But even still, Chris Paul still stepped up. He still stepped up. He still performed at a high level. One of his greatest performances of his career, if not his greatest performance of his career. 41 points, 31 in the second half. I said he had 7 threes. Chris Paul was going stupid, bro. So I don't even care. Like, even if it was a legacy game, quotes around legacy, Chris Paul stepped up. He stepped up to the mantle and said, I'm getting the job done, bro. He said, I'm not going home. They didn't want to go to a game 7, and Chris Paul said, I'm not taking us to a game 7. He went off 16 for 24 from the field, 7 for 8 from deep. That was just impressive to see. He had 8 assists still. He had 3 steals. Chris Paul was doing everything, and it really just felt like he only had 10 points in the first quarter. So in the fourth quarter, after the Suns kind of start losing their lead, the Clippers get it down to 7. Chris Paul comes down, hits 2 mid-range shots, hits some threes, got that and one, and that's when I knew it was over. I was on the phone with one of my boys. I said, yeah, that's the game. Chris Paul just said, got an and one from 3, a 4-point play, it's over. Once I saw that 4-point play, I knew it was over. Chris Paul was not trying to lose, and you could see it on his face. He started getting under the player's skin. He was talking to the crowd. He was talking to the bench. Him and Boogie were talking words. You saw Patrick Beverly push him in the back. Patrick Beverly's a horrible person, but yeah, he was getting in there. Chris Paul did not want to lose, bro. You could see that. And I don't know. I really don't even know what much more to say other than what a magnificent performance from Chris Paul. It was very awesome to see Chris Paul go off, bro. Like, that's realistically all I have to say about that. Kudos to him. Kudos to the Suns. 3 takeaways from this game. Chris Paul is the point guard. He deserves all his flowers. He deserves all his praise. He deserves a finals appearance, and he deserves a finals win. Now, will he win? That's another video. Patrick Beverly is a bad person. It's the second takeaway. He's a horrible person. He really should be fined and held to the utmost responsibility for his actions. And then Steve Ballmer is mad sus, bro.